There comes a time in everyone's life where they must ask, am I a gamer?
Xbox is green.
Luckily, you can have this question answered for you by people that want to sell you gamer versions of products. Ranging from monitors to shampoo, you too can LARP as an avid video game player by showing people you have the real deal gamer stuff. I'll be going through all sorts of things here, ranging from your usual accessories and RGB colored things, all the way to the peak. We're talking Diary of a Roblox Pro here, okay? There's a fine line between decent gaming related things and actual garbage. Back in the day there were these subscription boxes like Loot Crate and 1UpBox, and I cannot lie, these things were absolutely everywhere on any sort of gaming related content on YouTube. I gotta say though, these have gotta be one of the pioneers of sponsors on YouTube, and I remember them being relevant during the adpocalypse during like 2016. Anyway, the point of these subscription boxes were to send you gaming related goodies every month you were subscribed to them. The issue is these are all slop. I'm still operating off memory here, but from what I know about them is that they pretty much source whatever item they can from surplus, then sell the idea of maybe getting something decent in the box, but let's be real, they're a business, they gotta make money. So what's stopping them from always filling the boxes with just garbage and going, oh, you just got unlucky, better wait until next month's box. I go to conventions a few times a year and there are these mystery boxes that are basically an IRL version of these loot crates. They're always just filled with garbage you're going to be getting rid of within a week or two. It's crazy to me how I still see these at cons and it's like, who's buying these? Also, it turns out Loot Crate is somehow still around. 1UpBox wasn't so lucky. I think it just boils down to really cheap and mass-produced items that turn out to be garbage. Really cheap and tacky clothing is one that always gets me. There's certainly a place for cheap knickknacks and low-cost items though, like those that can't afford it, and lower-cost things are a good option for kids. But as I grow older, I more so lean towards like the nicer figures and stuff rather than a cheap t-shirt or a poster that uses generic art. One thing I never really was into was gaming-related books, besides the Guinness Book of World Records Gamer Edition, of course. These can get pretty wacky too, being as expected as something like the Five Nights at Freddy's books to Diary of a Roblox Pro, baby. I reached over and smacked my alarm so it stopped blaring in my ear. I was having an awesome dream that I had been sucked into a portal and I'd come out another world where I was a millionaire tycoon. Yeah! The best ironic example here has got to be Stinky Steve, of course. Also, Scott the Woz talked about this one, but there's an Xbox body wash at some point in time. Turns out there was an entire Axe collab between Xbox, which is pretty funny. Alright, the main point I wanted to talk about here was the gamer versions of regular things. Chairs, keyboards, mice, even desks have some gaming counterpart. Having owned a PC for over 6 years now, I have a gaming mouse, a keyboard, a headset, a monitor, and I guess a mousepad. But what actually makes them gaming versions though? Besides the RGB, of course. To keep it easy, I'd say for the keyboard it's the mechanical switches and macro functions, the mouse has extra buttons, and maybe the monitor's refresh rate. I can't really come up with anything for the headset. If there were anything I didn't need in terms of the setup, it's that I could probably use a different headset if there was a regular consumer version of it that weren't super cheap. I feel like the existence of headsets in particular though is dedicated either for just cheap office supplies or for video gaming and not much else. I also own a gaming chair, the Secret Lab Titan I've had since 2021. Being over 5 years old, I gotta say I'm really impressed with how it's been, but I was definitely expecting good quality considering I paid just over $500 for it back then. The only real wear on it after near daily use has been that the sides of the armrests are peeling off. Besides that, the fabric, hydraulic functions, adjustments, and everything in between still work perfectly. This is even after dismantling it a few times a year to transport it between my parents' house and my house I was in at university. I hate to be a glazer here, but this has been an utterly excellent chair for every function I need it to do, whether I'm playing games or doing work or whatever. So I wanted to give at least some examples as well of gamer products I actually think are pretty neat. Something about the behind the scenes stuff and concept art is something I think is really cool. There are these big hardcovers and have a lot of neat details. I think a proper figurine is also the way to go. I'd rather save the money for a cool figure rather than get a bunch of Funko Pops, which I've got to say have to be one of the tackiest ways to show that you're into something, but that's a whole other video topic on its own. Paying more for expensive versions of the things I'm mentioning here isn't all it takes though. A good quality pin or good quality print doesn't really run too much, and it can be pretty tasteful actually. You can gussy up a poster with frames and whatnot, so I feel like a lot of this comes down to presentation. An easy disclaimer to say here though is that cool gaming stuff is pretty subjective, so there isn't really much else I have to say about what I think is cool. At the end of the day, gamer products certainly do exist. Some of it sucks, some of it isn't really needed, and some of it is pretty cool. Let me know if there's anything I missed here. That's about it from me. Peace.